What is up, Hyperion fans, Frost Surge, Grav-9 fans, and as well the few of you who really like to listen to me, and the many of you who have come to watch Lemon Pepper steal the show tonight. I've already introduced us to you guys. We're your casters for the evening, and we're bringing you guys a riveting matchup, a rematch, Lemon, of the regular season, but definitely an opportunity for both of these teams to really show us what they got when everything really matters.
Well, Ethan, first off, you're far too kind. Thank you. I appreciate that. But you're right. This is a rematch of epic proportions. Frost Surge going up against Grav-9 here in our semifinals matchup. I mean, it really, I mean, I struggle to remember which way it went. I believe Frost Surge took it. 3-1 Frost Surge. Thank you, production. Always keeping me in line the way they need to be. But yes, 3-1 Frost Surge. But I do remember that it was a riveting match. It was super high pitched or fast paced, just high tempo. It was a match that I really enjoyed watching back. I believe I might have casted, but I definitely watched it back. We did some VOD review of it over at Tempest Typhoon. So yeah, I'm excited to see this rematch. I think this is going to be a semifinal that could go either way, and I think it's going to just be a brawl. But going in, we're going to take a look at Frost Surge now. Coming into this matchup, it's a team we've all come to know and love. You've got Nodlin and Winter, an excellent tank line. Scarrow and Ricey, coming in on that DPS line. Cabodozer, Zuramantha on the DPS. Zura, I think rebranded to Zura, in fact, not Zuramantha anymore. But this team, I mean, they speak for themselves. They had a very great regular season, and they're looking to kind of carry that success into playoffs, Ethan.
Yeah, and for as much flack as we like to give to Rook, the staff for Frost Surge is are stacked as well, with Jarvisimo and
True.
Merc all part of that lineup. It's a phenomenal team, a great organization behind it. But, we've seen some pretty spectacular things from Grav-9 in the latest weeks, really finding themselves and their identity in that brawl that you mentioned, Lemon Pepper. It's not going to be They Call Me M in the Rhine slot today. It's going to be Straight God, who was a ringer previously, got brought onto the team kind of late in the season. But it'll be them and Shadowstorm on the tank lineup, Toast, Dabsky, Dragon Slayer, Squanchy, Valenzo, Dane, Kotori, Astro, and Sunta. I'd say what roles they're all playing, but look at that. They're all flex players. They can do it all. But can they win against the regular season dominant team, Frost Surge? That's the question of the evening.
It absolutely is. And, this is a team, despite having a roster of 12 people, we see kind of a standardized core lineup a lot of times with Straight God on that main tank, definitely a good pickup for them. And you're right. We've seen them actually, kind of find themselves throughout the course of the season, really come on strong. That's something that I've outlined at times to my teams, that's the best thing you can do is really be firing on all cylinders when playoffs comes around, when the end of the season comes around. It doesn't really matter how the start of the season went. It matters you're here now, you're playing now in the semis, and it all matters what you can do here in this moment. So I mean, Grav-9 has that going for them. They've been firing on all cylinders when they needed to, and so I think that just leads to a absolute knockdown drag out that we're going to see here tonight, Ethan.
I'm really excited to see which of these teams come out on top. It's all about the game tonight, and the game is going to be taking place on Nepal for our first map. It's going to be that King of the Hill game mode where we'll really get to see the DPS players for either of these teams really thrive. Of course, that's a little dependent on what the space and the resources from the rest of the squad look like. But with the proficiency of Frost Surge and the depth of Grav-9, I could see it going either way. I think that Grav-9 has learned a lot of lessons over the course of the regular season, and on the other side of things, Frost Surge has had plenty of opportunities to make sure their strategies, sorry, stay consistent and strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, with control maps, with them being as short as they are and as fast paced as they are, a lot of times if one team can kind of establish that dominant sort of whatever it might be, comp, just one player having a carry sort of moment, but whatever it is, when one team can kind of establish that control, no pun intended, uh, it really just leads to the snowball effect. And so it's one of those things where even having a great coaching staff like Frost do, it's one of those things where that can kind of almost be nullified in a control scenario on this map type. So look for Grav-9 to kind of take advantage of that, possibly play off the chaos a little bit, something that they do well. And this could be a chance for them to take a little bit of a statement, going down 3-1, coming out 1-0 scoreline here in semis against a team dueled very well in the previous regular season. I mean, that could be a very good statement. That's something Grav-9's definitely in the realm of possibility as far as doing. But yeah, it's anyone's game at this point. I'm just excited to get in there and see what's how this is all going to play out.
Yeah, I cannot. I really can't hold myself back. I almost want to launch Overwatch and just spectate in game to watch all of these phenomenal contenders really duke it out. Starting off on Nepal, this is something I really like to talk about when I get in the booth with any game that I commentate. Is just organized Overwatch game. Organized team play is very different from solo queue ranked. These matches are demanding. The endurance, the stamina has to be high from all of these members, and like you mentioned earlier, they have to be firing on all cylinders. This is the time to shine for Grav-9. Fight against the adversity that Frost Surge represents, and Frost Surge, who have looked, as good as the championship spot for the Hyperion Cup. This is their opportunity to prove to us that they've deserved that title since the very beginning of the season.
I mean, hey, we're playing for a shot at finals right here. We're playing for a road to be in there to win it all right here. It's make or break. I mean, it's always playoffs. It's always win or go home. Uh, so at the end of the day, I mean, this is going to be the statement game for Frost Surge. This is going to be can they measure up? Can they maintain the dominance that they shown in the regular season? Can they get to finals? Because at the end of the day, regular season champs, that's great and all. Having that best record, you want that, you love that, it's great. But no one remembers. When Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl, no one remembers who had the best regular season. No one remembers if it was the Patriots, if it was some other team. It doesn't matter. It's about who wins that Super Bowl, and that's what we look at here in playoffs. I mean, it's about who gets to the finals and wins it. So, in order to do that, Frost Surge, they have to get through Grav-9, and Grav-9, right back at them with Frost Surge. It's going to be cool. And I mean, I can't highlight it enough. I mean, despite the 3-1 scoreline, this really was an insane matchup, very close. I think, as we've said, Grav-9, they've gotten better throughout the series, but Frost Surge, they've shown this high level of dominance. I mean, you look at Scaro and Ricey, I think
Oh
back to
yeah.
back from season 1 to season 2 of Hyperion Cup. I think these two are arguably, I mean, and it is arguable, but there's a strong argument that they're the best DPS line here that we've showcased in Hyperion. I mean, I know that Greg and Canon season 1 Kaiju Clover would have something to say about that. But as far as,
Yeah.
I'm talking back to back seasons of just straight up dominance. That's what we see from Scaro and Ricey. So if they keep that up, it's a lot like Shanghai Dragons, man. When Lip and Fleta are firing all cylinders, how do you beat that team? I mean, you've got
You
Hissy
don't.
Hockey, you've got Li Gong in the back. I mean, all these roles can just kind of click and fire and roll because the DPS just is untouchable. So I mean, I think we have a chance to see that here with Frost Surge today. And so I think that relies a lot on the support and tank play. You know, Squanchy on that off tank role for Grav-9. I think they've got to do a lot of shutdown work on this DPS line, keep them in check, because that's the only way you're going to let the likes of Dragon Slayer and Moni, who are not to be scoffed at as far as the DPS line. I mean, I have personal can personally attest. Last week, Dragon Slayer is a phenomenal DPS player, and so I mean, it's just one of those things where if these teams can go out and recognize the win conditions and recognize just the parameters of victory, then that's the team that's going to walk away with it. As is true with any match, of course. But I mean, what else can you say?
And you pretty much covered it all, Lemon. It's for Grav-9, it's a test of adversity. For Frost Surge, it's an effort to stay consistent, like they've been able to accomplish in the regular season. Might I remind you, they went undefeated in all of those regular season games, and they're still undefeated. We haven't seen them knocked out of the playoffs bracket. And Grav-9, they face a serious threat of that being done to them. You mentioned Scara and Ricey just being dominant DPS players, and I gotta admit that even from the safety of the caster booth, me as a as a washed Zen OTP, I shudder just a little bit to imagine playing up against Scara and Ricey on that DPS lineup. But you also mentioned the tank and support gameplay and how that has to be present in all of these fights. You're absolutely right, but that's also the expectation that we have to have for Grav-9 as well. Dragon Slayer and Moni, you mentioned, they're competent DPS players, but
Oh yes.
it's Overwatch has never been a game about the DPS heroes.
No.
It's always been guided and directed and compelled and forced by the tank and supports. So all eyes for Grav-9 fans and for myself, who I've gotten to watch them several times, and at least more than I've gotten to see Frost Surge. For Grav-9, all eyes are on Straight God, Squanchy, Astro, and Kotori to be consistent in their own ways.
It's hard for me. I have to say good things about Grav-9, but at the end, I'm still salty. I mean, my team lost to them last week in what was, I mean, let's be honest, it was probably the best match of the season. Let's just be real. I mean, all you other teams can just go on. I mean, I come in for one game. It was the best match of the season. I mean, what more do you need to say? I mean, I about won a legend spot just off of that one game. So it speaks for itself. But at the same time, I gotta be real about Grav-9. They come off with the victory in that match that was highly contested. I mean, I can tell you my side, gave it everything we had there on that. So I mean, they're a team that I mean, I have to be, rooting for at least in the slightest bit, because it's like, hey, if they knocked us off and they go on to finals and they win it all, I mean, by default, that means we were the second place team in the season. That means Tempest Typhoon was number two. That's just how it works. We'd have been there in the finals if not for them. The math lines up. I won't hear any contradiction to the latter. So, but no, enough joking aside. Grav-9, they played really well. I mean, talking a little bit more about the players we maybe haven't highlighted so far yet in this pregame show that we've been doing. Astro and Kotori on that support lane. I mean, Kotori was just, I mean, absolutely lighting it up throughout the whole series, making it to where, I mean, we have yikes, at Tempest. We've got arguably
Yeah,
the best main tank in the league, and I don't even think I'm alone in that opinion. And Straight God is able to contend with that. And Straight God's no slouch, but I think a lot of that comes to just Kotori just absolutely popping off in that off support role, in that flex support role, playing the BAP, playing the Ana at times, if I'm not mistaken. Man, a lot's happened since that match last week. I'm struggling to remember, but
yeah,
all I know is that Straight God was a bit of a beast to kill at times, and a lot of that falls to Kotori. Astro on the Lucio, very aggressive. I respect the style of Lucio play that Astro comes out with, getting aggressive, getting in there for the boops. I remember they got a very nice Hanamura double kill on us on point A at one point. That was
yeah.
very, very frustrating, but looking back at it, it was a very good play. They set it up very well. So I mean, this is a team of gamers. This is a team of players. All of them are out there looking to make plays. There's not a filler on this team, and that goes for both sides. And now, Thank goodness. Without further ado, we're in, Ethan. We're finally in. We're getting into Nepal. And now enough talk, enough posturing, enough speculating. Let's see what these teams actually have for us.
Yeah, let's put words into action here, and that's the name of the game here for Grav-9. You mentioned, Grav-9, they're a squad of gamers, and what do gamers do best but rise above adversity? And that adversity is taking the form of Frost Surge. Here in a couple of seconds, we'll see what they want to run out as far as compositions go here. I'm pleasantly surprised, maybe, I think,
Optimistic
possibly,
even.
at the six-man already forming for Grav-9.
I do like the six-man coming up. I'm very optimistic. I like what we're seeing out of Frost right now with the Ball Diva comp. I love that variety. I think Briggs in obviously is a high aggression support lineup. This is a full speed, all out sort of blitz of a comp coming out from Frost. So I'm just really excited to see how Grav-9 can kind of mitigate that, can pull out cooldowns, can kind of play the long game here on the six-man comp.
Well, and for Frost Surge, what better way to break up that six-man who wants to all play together, stacked on top of each other, than to disrupt them with constant boops in and out from Nodlin. It's kind of a waiting game here for an engagement. It's both teams kind of reading each other for now, but finally we get that push here from Nodlin. Unfortunately, Wrecking Ball tech doesn't come through, but the Power Drive helps to find out Kotori with the damage amplification applied by Zura. That's a quick pick here, and that's the main lifeline of the six-man composition. The point's already found its capture under Frost Surge, but that tenure might not last long if Moni's able to find these eliminations. They're under too much pressure though. They're gonna have to back out for now. Oh, but Astro with another double boop kill, just like in Tempest Typhoon's game. You're getting non-flashbacks right about now, Lemon.
It is the PTSD kicking in hard right now. I mean, that was right there, but what a great turnaround. I mean, Frost Surge did a great job of initially starting off that fight, playing it slow, getting the initial control, but I mean, just a war of attrition is going to lead to Grav-9 eventually taking this point over.
Yeah, that was a really good comeback, and I gotta hand it to Astro. They really helped to swing that fight. Nodlin still was proactive enough to generate that first minefield, and that's going to be pretty important as far as taking control of the space that the six-man will ultimately kind of dive into. Watch out for Ricey with the EMP here, though, dude.
That was a little bit dicey from Ricey.
Yeah. And they find themselves in a matchup now against Moni. I think that's Dragon Slayer who has the health pack under control there. There's the EMP from Ricey, connects onto 4, but the counter EMP from Dragon Slayer is sick. Despite that, you need follow-up to those plays. Nodlin, without the ability to grapple, is unable to save themselves from the maw of Nepal Sanctum. Just being disabled first set Grav-9 back a significant way.
And that's interesting because a lot of times it's not the first that wins. You look especially at Soundberries too, another prime example of that. It's not always the first ult that wins, but I mean, even Dragon Slayer getting the six-man EMP, still not enough to turn that fight around. I mean, that was just really great team play coming out from Frost Surge to ultimately just mitigate the six-man, which is supposed to be all about team play. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and there's your minefield kill as well onto Moni. That's the one who's going in with normally with the Wrecking Ball, but now just kind of helping with the rest of the picks. There's a self-destruct cast in by Winter, but it looked like it was totally LOS'd there by Grav-9. Staying strong this choke, Primal Range from Straight God to Boop and Nodlin around in these corners. They're still full HP with some adaptive shields on top of it. Coalescence committed as well from Kotori. They're trying to swing this fight, and a Pulse Bomb from Scaro unfortunately whiffs, but Moni is able to find value with their own. Kotori under duress of the hack and the Diva follow-up damage. Moni locked in a 1v1, but looking for an elimination onto Capadozer. Ultimately, picks are still going the way of Frost Surge. They might be able to win this fight, but the sound barrier is going to be applied to the remaining members of Grav-9. Hopefully, the rest of them can come back and contest. Nice melee finish onto Ricey there. Ultimately, it's only Winter and Scaro left, and both of them are critically low. It forces the Transcendence to come out from Zura. Last-ditch effort to make sure Frost Surge doesn't lose this when the going gets tough, but Zura booped off the ledge. No more Discords for you!
A huge boop coming out from Astro.
That's 3 now.
I mean, that's 3, and I mean, it couldn't have come at a better time. That was absolutely what Grav-9 needed. They needed to turn this around. But I mean, Grav-9 is going to have to do a better job of kind of staying together against this Frost Surge attack. That's what they're doing, is they're waiting for the six-man to separate and picking off these stragglers, and the six-man comp just really isn't getting enough going in the span of time before Frost Surge can kind of isolate someone and get these picks. And you're seeing just this kind of scattered fight that doesn't help six man. And now you're looking, meanwhile, Grav-9, you know, really sitting there on defense of the point. They've only got Swanchy with the ult, but now the EMP coming out, but that's a 4-man coming out from Ricey, and only Ricey dying to it so far.
Yeah, meanwhile, picks are secured from Grav-9, helping them to stay stable in this corner. Winter does find out Stragon going hyper-aggressive off the back of the EMP, but now it's Grav-9 who can stay aggressive in this fight. It's going to be a last touch here, and Nodlin is not going to be able to roll out a spawn, but Dragon Slayer won't be able to TP out. That was a nice response from Ricey. Now Winter, they almost managed to deploy the self-destruct.
I'm actually stunned. I mean, that was incredibly just like, I almost don't even have words, because the whole time that seems very much in Frost Surge's favor, right? Like they're winning consistent fight. They've won more fights throughout the course of that map, but Grav-9, they just win the fights when it matters. They get that last fight at 99%. Astro's getting these huge boot kills to secure the fights that they need to win, and then they just hold point, and then they win that fight at like, I think 88%, and they push forward, they mitigate the ball can't touch, and they make it to where Winter's not going to spawn in time. There's no mobility at that point, and they just completely shut it down, and a fight that I really don't think they had any business winning.
Yeah, it was a real clash of styles there on Nepal Sanctum, but now it's going to be who runs this rush composition better. I like Scarrow and Moni both staying on the Symmetra. You get the teleport out, but you also get some pretty oppressive damage. Maywall coming up separates Nodlin, but it's still Stray God who ends up first blood of this fight. That's maintain presence on the objective, and despite damage being dealt against the barrier, and whittling down that armor HP, with a couple of more eliminations, Grav-9 is totally routed.
This is great. Again, Frost Surge is doing a great job playing the Brawl comp, you know, learning, you know, getting the picks. I mean, Grav-9, they only lose a few there and they promptly get out. They do a great job resetting there, you know, not giving a lot of ult advantage over to Frost Surge here, but ultimately now control's going to be a Frost Surge, and with this Brawl comp, that's going to let Cabodozer set up this amplification matrix and really just rain a ton of damage if he can not get baited on it.
It's a nice Maywall, but it doesn't totally occlude the Am Matrix. The Immortality Field is still going to keep Grav-9 in this fight, but it quickly goes down. There's the late lamp deployed by the current defenders, but look, Nodlin is under serious pressure. They end up going down to the Fire Strike. Straight God free to swing the hammer until they get frozen, but by now the damage is already done. Photon Barrier coming up. It's possible for Frost Surge to hold this. Stray God forced into a corner. LOS by the Blizzard, and a counter Photon Barrier as well from Grav-9. They're trying to win this, but they might not be able to. Look at all the picks coming in for Frost Surge.
Man, that was great from Demon Slayer, able to take down Scarrow there, getting charged up there, and that's going to be probably the difference maker to let Grav-9 actually get control on this point, as ultimately Winter's going to get cleaned up and taken down here. But yeah, just great longevity coming out from great Grav-9, weathering the storm, and even now, I mean, this is great contest coming out from the side of Frost Surge, but ultimately progress going over, but 56%, nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, no expenses spared in the interest of winning these fights, and early in the series, that's not a bad energy to have. You as well see a very similar staging that Grav-9 is playing here to how Frost Surge was setting up.
Absolutely, I really like them using this high ground here. It's going to mitigate a lot of what Winter can do with the bomb, which really is the only ult that Frost Surge have here at the moment. It's going to make them kind of try to take this fight with Grav-9 having everywhere to go, and Frost Surge can kind of just play catch up to him at this point.
That was such a clean teleport. You know that the comms sound good when, you know, seeing just 6 people all vanish from one spot
Beautiful.
all at once. Winter's still looking for the opening of the bomb. They seem to have found it, but are they going to find eliminations off of it? No. Stray God, ever responsive with the barrier, is able to protect the team. Zura and Moni end up trading in the process. Cryoform forced out of Ricey, and Stray God does have the Shatter, looking to end this fight before it really breaks out into seriously losable territory. There's the Matrix, a Shatter bait. Stray God goes for it, connects to a barrier. Nodlin reading them like my favorite book, and ultimately the Amp Matrix might help Frost Surge to stay in this. Losing Nodlin is a compelling reason to back out, though, especially with Scarrow gone as well. Moni reconnected the objective. You don't play in the face of an Amp Matrix, but especially after losing that many bodies.
Well, both these teams are farming ults left and right, but it might be hard to tell because how quickly they're being utilized. Neither team being afraid to use an ult at this point. That being said, if you look at the progress, we're at 75%. Grav-9 sitting here comfortably. They've got the sound barrier for defense. They've got a Symmetra wall ready online. Ricey waiting with the mail. You've got Nodlin waiting on the Shatter too. But, I mean, this is a pretty even ult fight that kind of favors the defense at this point.
my goodness, teleported right into an ice cream sandwich. And Squanchy ate Ricey's Blizzard. That's a win condition, textbook.
Absolutely.
The Photon barrier there for Grav-9 to play defensively around, as well as for Frost Surge to push in. The point is going to end up going to Frost Surge, but that's some pretty significant point progress accrued from Grav-9.
Absolutely, you know, they've got that 99%, you know, they're going to be looking to possibly just kind of stockpile what ults they can in the next 40%, take this to a final 99-99 scenario. Meanwhile, though, Kabutos are building up to that amplification matrix, you know, kind of deja vu all over again, getting to use that here on the fight initiation. But other than that, we're not really looking at much ults on the side of Frost Surge to defend this with.
And no, it's going to be a relatively dry fight. Stray God will be able to get that shatter during the mid-fight, but that's about the most you'll have. You definitely want that barrier going into that, but an aggressive feed from Squanchy might be the end. Look at Nodlin, unable to stay alive despite the Immortality Field cast. It wasn't cast quite in time. Still picks coming in favor of Frost Surge. It's going to be a soft reset from Grav-9, but they only have 9 seconds to touch.
I would categorize that as an interesting engagement coming out from Squanchy there. You know, I mean, I like the idea of diving through the amplification matrix to put pressure away, but ultimately it just leaves them kind of a man down. And you see, I mean, basically Frost Surge doing to Grav-9 what they did to them on the first point. And I mean, I really feel like that was a bit of a rushed fight there coming out from Grav-9, possibly not the look they wanted to take there on that fight leading up to 100%. But that being said, still 1-1 in the series, able to bring it back here. Both these teams really showcasing what they can do well so far, Ethan.
You mentioned this earlier, I alluded to it, is just that, you know, these teams are not afraid of using ultimates. We saw the self-destruct from Winter there, it only connected to a barrier, but if you have it, go for it, right? Go for the cast, launch out that self-destruct and see what value you can get. If you don't get a kill, you've at least broken Stray God's barrier. And what is Grav-9 doing?
They're running 6-man.
Okay.
Okay.
I won't complain about it.
I won't complain about it. It was a last-minute switch, a moment of inspiration, perhaps. But we're just going to have to see. It was a bold move caught, and we'll see if it pays off for him. And it has already. Moni getting the first pick.
Yeah, and that's an early Immortality Field from Kabutos are forced out by Stray God, and now the tanks are going to be under the heel of Grav-9 as they continue to put pressure on this objective, eventually leading to a capture. Look at that nice hack on a Ricey, and Moni instantly follows up on it as well. I've got to say again, the comms for Grav-9 have to be just heavenly choruses. That must be how good it is to play with such direction.
Absolutely. I mean, no more is that confusion that we saw at the end of Village. I mean, that's a perfectly unified 6-man comp, and I mean, they switched to it last second too. I mean, you just put it all together. It's very impressive, surprising. I mean, all these adjectives, and I mean, now you've got Moni playing super aggressively away from the team. That possibly could lead to trouble here. That's not really the ideal play to play 6-man, right?
They get out from that as well, which is pretty nutty to me. Kotori ends up going down in the midst of the Coalescence cast. Kabutos are found out by the Primal Rage. There's quite a bit of space that Stray God is making. Moni goes for the Death Blossom, but is stunned out of it, shut down. However, the beat dropping here from Grav-9. I'm not sure it was necessary, but Ricey is armed with the Blizzard, quickly dispatched.
Well, I knocked the interesting positioning choices from Grav-9 there on that 6-man setup, but I mean, fight wins don't lie, and that was a pretty compelling fight win coming out from Grav-9 as they sit here rounding out 60% now, untouched so far on the point.
I think, Lemon, I still would have liked to see Astro hold on to that sound barrier.
Yeah, agreed. I think that was at the end of a fight like that. I mean, it's kind of just a bit gratuitous. But what a huge EMP, but where's the team to act on it? But Moni will get something.
Yeah, and Stray God goes in, finds themselves on the reverse side of a pin. There's Zura saying, I can get boop kills too. And the self-destruct cast as well. Ricey's able to hold on to that Blizzard. Frost Surge has won this fight, and there's no need to spend any more.
And I mean, in doing so, they've still got, 4 ults here setting up now, and this is setting up for them to really put a nice sort of stonewall here on this point now. You got these both DPS, both support ults looking at really only Squanchy with the self-destruct. You're still only halfway to Coalescence and Death Blossom, the two kind of big win conditions right now that you're looking at right now with the 6-man. I mean, this is looking good now for Frost Surge.
It's Winter who has to be responsive with that defense matrix. It's dwindled right now, but Moni's working towards that next Death Blossom. However, Frost Surge is still emerging on top of this fight, at least in terms of man advantage. Giving up this early point progress is not too much of an issue for Grav-9. They're better off playing for those ultimates and then finding a reset. Whether Straight God wants to or not, that's what they'll do.
And I mean, just huge play from Frost Surge. Really got to highlight Winter there too. I mean, as a fellow off tank player, Winter is definitely one of the contemporaries in the league that I think is probably one of the overall better off tank players in general. I mean, I just love watching them play. You look at the awareness, the checking of Moni there on the Reaper, not engaging too hard to get back with team. Now it's just setting them up. You've got a nice dead eye. You've got that sound barrier to keep everyone nice and safe. But look at Dragon Slayer trying to get the EMP out, going to shut down the sound barrier right there.
6, man, and look at the Blossom. It takes 3 and the mech. Moni's looking for the follow-up damage. Says, I don't need a Death Blossom to find that final blow onto Zura, who's stalling it out. I mean, maybe it would have lowered that TTK there, but you said it earlier, a fight win's a fight win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that was great awareness by Dragon Slayer, making sure to pick up Zura in that, possibly knowing that that sound barrier was ready and waiting. And now this aggression, this is going to be exactly what Grav-9 needs to take the point and to capture this first map.
Bulldozer managed to live that entire time while they're pushing
Big
the
bomb.
objective. Yeah, that's a massive self-destruct onto Nodlin there, but Astro ends up going down there as well. 92 to the sound barrier, and the Blizzard's been cast by Ricey. You wanted that defensive ultimate. Still, however, the point is in control of Grav-9. They managed to retake it, build up to 99%, and whether they win or lose this fight, there's still opportunities to come back from this. For now, it's going to be them losing and looking to bring it back. Last team fight territory coming up shortly.
And this is just a knockdown drag out. Every kill's mattering, and it's going to be a back and forth all the way to the very end here. Nodlin fighting for his life right now on point. Oh, that sound barrier is going to make things trouble for Frost Surge now.
It's not losable here for Grav-9. They committed the sound barrier. That was the resource you would have wanted heading into a potential last fight, and you're having recontests here from both sides, but Zura ends up going down. Now there's no Cabodozer either. Another Death Blossom on the objective is going to zone it out entirely. Grav-9 takes the first map off Frost Surge.
If that's any indication of how this series is going to go, good reef, we're in for a good one, Ethan, because that was wild from start to finish. And I mean, we're going to get to see some nice Lucio shenanigans. You love to see it. Always a big fan of that. I don't know what I play, Lucio, Diva, it don't matter, but I like it all, and this is a good one. Come on, let's see the boop. There we go.
Ah, there it is.
You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. Had to stop. But yes, it's hard to believe Grav-9 comes out winning that map 2-1. I mean, it was so back and forth. Frost Surge looked so dominant at times. They looked to have control. I mean, even in that last fight, Ethan, they looked to be winning the fight. You look at that May ult coming out, the way it zones Grav-9 off the point, the picks started coming in, everything's going Frost Surge's way, and yet Grav-9 remains. They stay in these fights, they stay alive, they linger, and then they get these picks when they matter, and they end up taking the map from you. And I mean, that's just impressive stuff coming out from Grav-9, but I mean, good grief, Ethan, this is going to be a crazy one.
Yeah, this one's going to be pretty wild. Buckle up, kids. This car only heads in one direction, and that's towards victory, either for Frost Surge or Grav-9 at the end of the night, possibly Lemon at the end of 5 games. So
I'm
a
calling
long haul, but I'm here for the show already, getting to see so much from all of these players. You and I got to talk a little bit, Lemon, about the kind of the interactions between the comps that Grav-9 and Frost Surge were running. And I mean, don't get me wrong, we could talk for much longer than a series duration about that kind of thing. But what we ended up defaulting to, Lemon, is the players. We talked about Cabodozer being able to touch there, even though they really shouldn't. We talk about Astro getting the double boop kill, Straight God with Primal Rage kills and space created, and it's at this level, you do want to start adhering to some kind of metagame. You want to use things that are relative, or heroes and strats that are relatively higher on the scale of power. But for me, it's not the comp; it's the team.
It really, I mean, at this point, I really think at this level of play that's 100% true. That meta is very important. That playing this what was overall considered, because just from massive just crowdsourcing of knowledge and crowdsourcing of strats and skills and abilities, we come to this idea of what the best comp is. But at the end of the day, if you can play something better, that's going to win you the games. I mean, and we've seen that time and time again, even, as high as Overwatch League. We've seen that, in all different tournaments. We saw it last season with Clover, playing these ball comps, being dominated on that, playing, things that were kind of considered a little off brand, if you will, at the time, but making it work, doing really great things with it. And I think if you can do that, it's that's the whole thing. Is it's only crazy if it doesn't work, so if you're getting wins
Yeah.
with it. And I mean, you look at that, the Briggs Egg comp, we saw that very aggressive comp coming out from Frost Surge. Thought it was very successful. I mean, they didn't take that map, but I mean, they were winning fights, they were doing
Yeah.
things that they were supposed to in that comp. It's just Grav-9 has this uncanny ability reminiscent to season 1 Kaiju Clover, that I kind of keep coming back to him, because they were a very dominant team in season 1. But what they did well was they stayed in fights. They did really well in overtime. They did very well in stalls, and they just lingered in fights, and they stayed around, and they were very tough to beat in that regard. And that I see shadows of that in Grav-9, especially playing a team that's been overall is just commandingly dominant as Frost Surge has been this season in the regular season. I mean, to be able to just stay, to take that map one, like we were talking about, coming out here, losing that very close series in the regular season, coming out here taking the first map in the semifinals when it's win or go home. This is a good look right now. If you're Grav-9, you're feeling very good. You need to take this momentum. You need to carry it into this next map, because this next map is going to be Frost Surge's choice. And if you can win here, that's very demoralizing. And that's not just demoralizing for the players, that's demoralizing for the coaches, that's demoralizing for the strategy, that's demoralizing for everything on the Frost Surge, because now it's like, all right, this is our map. Speaking of, we do have the choice for that. It will be Gibraltar. So any indication what that means for Frost Surge probably wanting to run there, Ethan?
It might be that ball diva composition. You can fall back on on those Rhine-based brawl comps for that third objective, but I would love to see some defensive dive. Frost Surge respond to Grav-9's tank line that we got to see run rampant on Nepal Sanctum and Shrine. I'd like to see that emulated from Frost Surge. If our current predictions are going to come through. Lemon, it's Frost Surge picking up Watchpoint Gibraltar, so that the series goes on as long as possible. Um,
I
but
think you're right.
but heading into Watchpoint Gibraltar, that escort style game mode, Frost Surge looked really. I'm sorry, Grav-9 looked really comfortable on that Winston Diva composition, albeit it plays more like a brawl than a dive. But I still wonder if you're playing into the strengths of Grav-9 heading into Watchpoint.
Well, I've always been an advocate that you can make brawl work in aspects on Gibraltar. Obviously, A is incredibly difficult. You're going to have to
Yeah.
be very choosy about where you're taking your fights and where you're even letting yourself be visible at. I mean, it's very difficult. But later on throughout, as the map goes on, obviously even brawl can work. So, 6-man playing it this very brawly style, you do have the upward mobility from your tank line. You do have the ability to play it here. One thing I thought it was very interesting that you mentioned, though, highlighting Nodlin and Winter on Frost Surge, and how Grav-9 is going to need to kind of have a little bit more of an answer for them than they did on map 1. I think that's a very good point, because even though Grav-9 takes map 1, I don't think they did a very good job of containing what Nodlin and Winter were able to do. And as a trend, if you can't shut down tanks as this series goes on, it's going to become a lot harder for Grav-9 if you're just letting Nodlin and Winter go unchecked. They're just going to, it's like a train. It's just going to build up steam. It's just going to build up that locomotion, and they're going to run you over. So I think that's something, even taking that map 1, Grav-9 has to be very wary of right now, is that you cannot, you've got to do something about Nodlin and Winter, because if they get going, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, a double-edged sword, whatever you want to call it. But if Nodlin and Winter can get going, that's going to open up a lot for Scarrow and Ricey, and that's then going to in turn open up a lot for Nodlin and Winter, and it's going to, like I said, it's a train. It's just going to keep fulfilling itself. And so Grav-9, even though they're feeling good, they need to keep the pressure on right here. They need to come out with a very strong defense. We see them running not a 6-man, a dive variation with Valenzo now in on that Tracer and Dragon Slayer on that Sombra. This is very interesting, but kind of just dive on both sides right now, coming out for both sides, Ethan.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, that's just how you'll play Watchpoint Gibraltar, especially this first objective. And it's for now, it's just kind of a poke and prod here from both sides, and not really a commitment here from Grav-9 here to hold this high ground and force resources and cooldowns out of Frost Surge. There's a fight happening in that room, but Dragon Slayer wants to contend with the objective, almost finds the hack onto Scarrow as well. Ultimately, Squanchy ends up going down, and I mean, you're an off-tank player, Lemon. How does this fight look for Grav-9 losing Squanchy?
This is a trend that I think we saw earlier, something I highlighted on Village specifically, Squanchy getting a little bit aggressive at times, possibly when they shouldn't, and if you're going into every fight down your off tank, that's a big source of flank, peel, damage mitigation, all of it, man. So I mean, that's going to be a problem for Grav-9 if they can't do something out of that. Meanwhile, now Ricey with that dragon, you know, you look, there's only a few ways you can come out right now if you're Grav-9. This dragon could have a ton of value.
And they've already used the sonar there. They're going to find themselves pressured out by Stray God, forced onto the objective, but you can zone out the point with that Dragon. Almost finds lethal damage onto Valenzo. Does find the finish onto Dragon Slayer. Now without the, now without both DPS here, Grav-9 is going to be in some serious trouble. They're still going to try and contest the objective. Nano applied onto Stray God in the interest of making this fight winnable, but Nodlin as well is mirroredly strong. Astro ends up going down here. Things are looking tougher and tougher for the defense because Squanchy is currently demed, Kotori is gone, all the sustenance, the point presence is absent from Grav-9, and albeit you will get a stall, but not for very long.
Well, since we're rhyming, it was a bit dicey for Ricey, and then it got spicy. And that was a great play coming out for Frost. I'm going to try and keep a straight face. I'm laughing. But if you look at that fight that they just won in a pretty commanding fashion, they're now sitting pretty with 3 ults. Meanwhile, defensively, Grav-9, they really don't have much to look at. They've made a comp switch now over to that straight-up 6-man. They're going to have to play together against this, and man, that's just right what Ricey wants. I mean, if you ask me.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a lot of ultimate charge for the Dragon Strike, and they won't be able to launch it out quite yet. But yeah, they still have it in the bank. That's Grav-9 helping to clean up a couple of eliminations, but they're still losing a few people. Stray God maybe biting off more than they can chew. Ooh. Caught out by Winter after a sleep from Kabadozer, who by the way is on a sliver of HP right now. Scarrow saying I got mine, and still Grav-9, despite an early pick on a Ricey, is on the back foot.
Yeah, and I think Grav-9 just kind of got a little bit outside their depth there. They pushed a little bit too far, bit of an overextension from Straight God on the Winston. But now, this fight, this quick recontest, I mean, this is just going to let Ricey kind of pick up people out in the open as they try to get together in the 6-man, and this just benefits Frost Surge here, Ethan.
Yeah, the longer the fight goes on, the more powerful Frost Surge will look. Oh, Zura's barrier broke right before the self-destruct went off. Squanchy gets the pick, but they sacrifice themselves in the process. Straight got unable to touch, and it's just going to be them and Astro just kind of feeding. You know, you need the good spawn here for a third point. Kotori is going to stall at the objective just so that they don't get staggered.
Wow. This has been commanding so far from Frost Surge. I mean, you look at this 418 left in the bank already here on this third stint. And I mean, look at the ult economy. I mean, your Scarrow's halfway, and besides that, you've got 4 ults online. You got both your tank ults. Ricey's just been putting in work, farming that dragon constantly. And I mean, if they can keep this pressure up, I don't really see an answer. I am glad to see that Grav-9 have switched over to Brawl. They've got to do something to try and shake it up here because this has just been an indomitable force of pressure coming out from Frost Surge.
But you know, you don't have any ults to mitigate the primal rage and the nano onto Nodlin, who's now clearing up space in the back line. Dragon Slayer isn't going to be able to freeze anyone. They've been taken out as well. Nice pulse from stick from Scarrow. That was a nice 180 there. Nice display of DPS prowess, mechanical skill from a hero who's exceptionally difficult to play. Seeing Scarrow succeed like that for Frost Surge is really rewarding.
Wow, and it's, as I said, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Nodlin and Winter got a lot of free space. They got unchecked throughout those whole first 2 points, and now, I mean, Scarrow, Ricey, they're just wide open. Everybody's able to just do whatever they want. I mean, they're doing so well, it's actually breaking the game on my end a little bit, I think.
Yeah, that was... I feel like you earlier, Lemon Pepper, you know, when you're seeing Frost Surge drop maps and fights and objective progress, I'm a little speechless from Grav-9. You know, Gibraltar isn't the easiest map to play. It
Absolutely
really
not.
isn't. It does not play like a Rialto or a Route
Mm-mm.
66, but to see Grav-9 fumble like that is a little curious to me. We mentioned at the very beginning of the show tonight that Grav9 has kind of found themselves on the brawl rush style compositions, and then when they assume that identity for third point, they still just can't mitigate the havoc being wrought in their backlines.
Absolutely, yeah. And watching this back, I think even Grav9 will have to agree that that was a bit of a slip up. Whatever happens here subsequently on this map, that level of command and dominance, you can't let that happen. You've got to. I mean, that was almost as close as you can get to unchecked to the point. And you look now, Scaro's still on the Tracy, Ricey's still on the Hanzo. I mean, these things that were working so well for them on attack, they'll work just fine on defense. So these are still questions for Grav9 that they have to answer. How do we? They had a moment of it. There was one fight where they went in on the 6-man, and the first pick they got was Ricey, and they went straight to work from there. And then they overstayed their welcome. They didn't play out their cooldowns, and they got wrecked for it.
We'll have to see how successful this 6-man is on attack. It didn't quite work on defense of that second objective, but this is not a disadvantageous comp to play on first point. It's again just kind of a poke battle here on the high ground, waiting to engage. But that's a nice pick to secure as early as possible. Zura ends up going down. Straight God looks for the opening to pressure out Ricey and strikes back a little bit from all the damage they were able to do from earlier. Still, the tanks for Frost Surge are not out of the fight quite yet, but for now, Grav9 just wants to move this objective a little bit.
Grav9 doing a great job just getting this point rolling, pushing it on through the bridge. Just basically everything they can do to keep it rolling at this point. They've got a big time bank they got to get in. They've really got to get Valenzo in a position here to just get a ton of value, I think. And that's not what you want, as Winter takes him down promptly.
Yeah, Nodlin falls under the hack, but it has the nano boost that was still applied. So any of the follow-up damage is really amounts to be insignificant. It's Grav9 being stymied, but only for a moment. With that 6-man composition, they'll be able to re-engage really quickly. And now Winter's, just spy checking. But Dragon Slayer is nowhere to be found. Has to work towards that last little bit of EMP ultimate charge, though.
Yeah, and I mean, now with Dragon Slayer, he's got to try and kind of he's got to get that up. I mean, that's important here. Astro coming online with the sound barrier. Kotori's going to use that. Coalescence. I'm assuming this fight, because Scaro's just going to work. What are you going to do here?
Yeah, that's some really nice follow-up onto a sleep. Scaro, it just turned around and melted them. Coalescence is going to dissipate, as well as the sound barrier from Astro. Winter, hacked, can't DM the biotic orb there that Kotori had casted, but you need a team around you to utilize it, and everyone is dropping like flies.
Yes, and this is now devolving into worst case scenario for Grav9. You've got 1:45 left on the clock. Really, only the EMP to work with. You're probably contemplating a comp switch at this point. To what? I don't even have an answer. Meanwhile, you're looking at Frost Surge. You've got 3 ults in the bank. You've got Ricey again. I keep saying it. Ricey's got Dragon. He's just got it on cooldown. It's a cooldown at this point.
Yeah, it really is, with the amount of damage they've been able to do, and we've seen Grav-9 really suffer in terms of who starts these fights out with a man advantage. There's the EMP, connects onto the high ground. It does secure 5. Oh, and Valenzo and Astro are both able to capitalize. Both supports gone for Frost Surge. Now's the time to push. Now's the time to win this fight. Valenzo not too eager to take a bad duel against Ricey, but Ricey's able to use the storm arrows to ricochet off the walls. Astro under quite a bit of pressure here, critically low, is able to get the mini, but is still under duress there from Scaro, who is equipped with the pulse bomb. Dragon Slayer has been eliminated from Nodlin, however, so the disablement is not going to be found on the side of Frost Surge. Now Nodlin is looking to find some final blows. Makes the hero play, sacrifices themselves to the self-destruct, but the Dragons are on cart here, securing 2 out of the fight for Grav-9. They're looking weaker and weaker as the fight progresses. Squanchy just has to get out. Oh, there's a wall there.
I respect the hero play. I'm not sure who all it saved. I'd have to almost watch an instant replay to see if it was even worth it. But I mean, he nailed the play.
Yeah.
That was absolutely what you. If that's what he was going for, and he nailed it. But now you look Dragon Slayer hiding here on this point. If they could take out this Ana, but no, they're gonna have to get out. I mean, that was just great contest again. Frost Surge, they linger. Valenzo is going to have to make this Death Blossom absolutely just bonkers to give Grav-9 a chance to stay in this.
Valenzo's got this Death Blossom. It's pretty telegraphed. They're looking for the opportunity to use it, but caught out by the whip shot from Zura. Brig is just so powerful, and it's really showing here, especially as the rally comes up online and they bolster the defenses, but so too have the health pools of Grav-9 increased with the sound barrier applied. It's not going to last very long, however, and Squanchy is unable to eat the anti-nade that was dished out onto them. Capadoza applying the nano boost onto Winter. It makes the point presence uncontestable here on the side of Frost Surge, who will absolutely win this map. Gibraltar goes to them. All that's left is to just find these final picks.
I'm just glad Valenzo finally got to use that Death Blossom. I mean, they've been wanting it, and now look at this. Just when you think Grav-9's out, the EMP comes out, Valenzo going down. Though I think that is. I think we were just forestalling the inevitable. I mean, almost. Grav-9, they had us going there for a second, but I mean, I think this is a great time just to almost to highlight the seventh player that Frost Surge utilizes there in the coaching staff. I mean, when you look at a night and day difference from a very close map 1 to a map choice for Frost Surge, and the way they just, you know, command that entire map, attack, defense, it didn't matter. They were in control of every point of that map, and I think you have to attribute that to lots of coaching. That is a well rehearsed map on the side of Frost Surge, and you know, the play went exactly to the script. And you know, if you're Rook and the team over there at Frost Surge, you're patting yourselves on the back, because that's exactly what you wanted.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was a really well executed strategy employed by Frost Surge to make sure they stay competitive in this series. And man, did things look, well, actually, ironically enough, not very competitive there on Watchpoint Gibraltar. Grav-9 is unfortunately now even in the series, at least for them. It's a little unfortunate for Frost Surge. Morale is up. They've taken a map. They're looking to get some wind in their sails and, you know, take us to map 3. That'll be our hybrid game mode, but we'll have to see what Grav-9, where they want to play on the other side of a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break, everyone. Hopefully, you guys are feeling refreshed and ready to go into our next map. I know that these teams certainly are, and as well, Lemon. We've talked a little bit about this. I know that the coaching staff for Frost Surge have prepped them very well for this next encounter. Where are we heading for hybrid?
Well, we of course are going to Blizzard World. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to Kings Row. We always go to Kings Row. How could we not? I mean, it's got to be Kings Row. I don't think it's actually a sanctioned playoff match if you don't at some point play Kings Row. I mean, I think that's just I don't even think it's an unwritten rule. I think it's written somewhere at this point. But yes, we've got Kings Row. We're gonna see some brawl. I would hazard a guess. I think that
Brawl on Kings
should
Row?
Yes, I know,
Really?
I know. A novelty, maybe even.
Okay.
But joking aside, I do think that that could be a good boost to Grav-9. Obviously, this is their map pick. They want to be here at Kings Row. I think Straight God is a pretty solid Reinhardt. I think he's got a great support staff around him that really lets him pop off too. I think this is some way. This is a way where you can possibly mitigate that tank line of Nodlin and Winter, where you can let Straight God just basically mono e mono with Nodlin there on Reinhardt, and possibly that frees your DPS up to do possibly more. They're going to have to because Ricey and Scarrow are cleaning everything up right now, and that's an question that needs answering if you're Grav9.
Ooh, yeah, 100%. We saw Ricey and Scarrow both. It's independent moments, but they've each
Yes.
really come through for Frost Surge, especially there on Watch Point Gibraltar. We got little demos, if you will, on Nepal, but Frost Surge is operating in full force at this point. All cylinders are firing, and all systems are go for them. Heading into Kings Row, I don't expect the engines to stop roaring anytime soon, especially on those Reinhardts. Very excited to see what kinds of aggression we see enabled from Straight God, but also from Nodlin.
Absolutely, and I think this is also going to be an interesting uh, possibly showcase of coaching here as well. I think we highlight
Yeah.
that a lot with Frost Surge. I talked about it going back to map one, a map that Frost Surge ultimately, lose 2-1. I think that coaching some of the least amount of coaching you can do per map would probably be on a control map. I think it a lot of times just falls down to the individual skill of the team, and so you can get some interesting results. I mean, we see that all across contenders Overwatch League where possibly the not as good team perception wise can win control maps and then get blown out the rest of the series. We see that at times, and a lot of times it falls back to coaching. You can't coach control maps as much. But back to my point with coaching with Frost Surge, with this being Grav9's map selection, obviously Frost Surge's coaches, they're not strangers to Kings Row. I don't think anyone's a stranger to Kings Row at this point. So this will be, but this wasn't their map choice. Maybe it would have been. Who knows? These are all semantics we could discuss ad infinitum. However, how do they answer against the enemy team's map choice? How do their comps, what are they coaching right now? They didn't plan for this map possibly. What are they doing to prep their team? Because I think, a 1-1 score line, this is good. This being Grav9's map, are they going to pull it ahead to 2-1? Can Frost Surge go back to back wins? Either way, this is a momentum tipping point for this series. And so I think coaching is going to be a huge factor in that.
I absolutely agree, and definitely part of what Jarvisimo and Rook are conveying to Frost Surge is aspects of how to, we mentioned this earlier, how to adhere to that relative power scaling. We joked about seeing Brawl on Kings Row, and at the end of the day, it probably will be a rush mirror. There's still room for the Ball Diva compositions. You can still run dive on Kings Row. Not sure why you'd want to do that, but it's possible. At the very least, we'll see Grav-9 opt out of the six-man composition, which means for Frost Surge, the most guidance that they'll need is here's how to beat the mirror matchup. I will be excited. You talk about Straight God and being enabled by Grav-9 or by the rest of Grav-9, and I am excited to see at the prospect of seeing Kotori back on the Baptiste. I understand that you're going to run Moira in a six-man composition, but I also think about Moira and Watchpoint Gibraltar. Well, it goes together like coffee and acid. I mean, I don't see I don't see how those two combine very well outside of that six-man comp. She's got a little verticality to her kit now, but it's just again, Kotori won't be forced onto a hero that is generally and understandably perceived as one of the weakest supports, if not the weakest. And it'll be good to see them transition onto, well, the most broken one.
The meta, whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it. But
exactly.
this is why you were a gym, Ethan. I mean, coffee and acid. I love it. That one, that was delightful. But you're absolutely right, and have to think a bit of memery perhaps coming out from Grav-9 to start. I don't think Kotori will be on the brig. We were discussing support choices for them, and I don't think that's going to be one. But possibly a little bit more reasonable on the defense for Frost Surge. They do have to commit to this. They're on defense, and they are running Ball Diva. That's right. We joked about how could you not run Brawl, excuse me. And in fact, Nodlin's running Ball. So nothing is real at this
And
point.
Kotori's on Moira.
Nothing makes sense. Kotori doesn't even get to play BAP. There is no justice in the world.
I think I'm done for the night. You take it from here, Lemon, because
I'm ashamed.
I'm
But
leaving
we
the
do
booth.
get to look at this though. We have a Zarya. Have we seen a Zarya so far this season? I don't think so. Because it would have been me playing it.
If we have seen Zarya, it's in maps that they lose. I mean, you don't run that hero, especially not on King's Row, even if it is a favorable stage for her. Talking about staging, look at the aggression from Grav-9. They really want to push out this high ground position, the location from which all the forces of Frost Surge will deploy. And it's, again, it's just kind of each team sizing each other up for now.
I do truly understand why Squanchy's playing the Zarya here. You're doing it to enable Dragon Slayer on the Doom. It's something that is near and dear to my heart as well on Tempest Typhoon. But I mean, you're just seeing it pay dividends. Dragon Slayer ultimately going down, but I mean, look at this presence already being set up by Grav-9 on the point.
Valenzo's actually able to play the game as Reaper this time around as well. The Discord Orb fell on them very briefly, but they did poke out Ricey pretty successfully. That's already nearly 2 ticks of progress accrued on the objective here for Grav-9. Oh, nice pile drive and follow-up damage from Scarrow and Nodlin. Good flash as well as the High Noon is drawn and the trigger is pulled on Dragon Slayer.
Hero having some fun there at the end of that fight. A little bit of the highlight reel, I'd say, but I mean, that's some good progress already made on the side of Grav-9. Great rotation there. I mean, totally unorthodox what we're seeing from both sides, but both sides playing it exactly the way that you need to play it. And ultimately, Frost Surge just coming out, weathering the storm enough to ultimately get that fight win. But I think this bodes well for Grav-9 right now. They really only have the Coalescence to work with, but I think that Coalescence will lead them up to both Tank Ults and possibly even Dragon Slayers.
They say Insanity is doing the same thing several consecutive times and expecting different results each time. Here in the biz, we call it strategy, but watch out, gets shut down. Astro found out by Ricey's pulse bomb. There's no longer speed to move Straight God around. The taxi has come to a halt in the streets of King's Row, and it's not even in the streets, it's in the hotel that Straight God has to hang out for a little bit to figure out how they want to approach this next fight.
Yeah, this is an interesting positioning. On the bright side, this sort of stall is going to let you get possibly some more ults online as Coalescence comes out from Kotori. But Scare is going to use that amplification matrix very well to get that kill on Straight God.
Shuts it down really quickly. Cappadocia ends up getting shut down themselves, but without a tank lineup, things are looking dire here for Grav-9. Dragon Slayer going on a heavy offensive. They've already found 2 picks, but can they secure 4 more? Genji can't really 1v6, but Doomfist might be able to. Not if Zura's on the field, though. Nice Zenyatta gameplay. However, it's a shatter from Straight God that's looking to end this fight. Minefield deployed on the objective. Last-ditch effort from Nodlin to stabilize or maybe swing things. That's not going to be what happens, though.
Grav-9 ultimately, spawn advantage really boding well in their favor, but meanwhile, they really didn't have to commit possibly as much as they needed to there. I mean, getting away with Grav is definitely huge. You're going to be able to combine...
What? Squanchy?
I don't usually caster curse that bad, Squanchy. You don't even, okay, Squanchy's gonna blame
I'm
that
done.
on me, and you can't even blame that on me, Squanchy. And now, what a great May wall, though, coming out from Brycey, and that's just gonna let Dragon Slayer, I mean, I really feel like that fight was washed when that happened. The amount of confusion that probably permeated throughout Grav-9 in that moment is, I mean, yeah, but, oh, I feel for Squanchy. You get
Yeah.
staggered a little bit to boot. Who knows, your Reaper might get staggered as well. Yeah, definitely not the start to the streets phase that you were looking for, though, if you're Grav-9. Though, this will let them kind of get back together. Dragon Slayer going over to that May. Valenzo's really going to need to make something happen early with the Blossom.
Oh, that was a nice defense matrix from Squanchy as well. Really responsive to the Deadeye, and it's going to zone out a little bit of space through which Grav-9 can push, but they're pushing into an Amp Matrix. Devastating damage as the Death Blossom is committed from Valenzo, and it is able to successfully find picks. There's a Shatter on top of it. Winter does trade Straight God for the self-destruct there, but right now there's a man advantage on no side. Winter, however, is under a little bit of a cold spell. The coalescence from Kotori is committed. This is where, you know, after this finishes, this is where I want to see them on the Baptiste. It's just such a good hero to run here on King's Row.
Well, I have to say that Tempest versus Grav-9 might be the best match of the season. This might be the prettiest match of the season. The way ults are getting thrown out. It's just a display of colors everywhere. You've got Ricey throwing out the May ult. Now Scaro and Ricey are just going to clean up the fight. I mean, you know, one ult, I mean, in a sea of ultimates, to see a one ult fight win, that's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, you know, some people, you know, kind of refer to it as effects vomit, but, you know, what else is going to treat my ADHD when we lose a tank? And, you know, some of those visual effects come Overwatch, too.
Pretty
Whenever
colors,
that
let's
is.
go. That's right.
Oh. Talking about pretty colors, there's a couple of shiny check marks on the side of Frost Search to make sure that they're able to hold this choke point. It's a powerful position to maintain. Watch out for the Deadeye from the hotel. Zero striking in the midline of Grav-9 and ending the fight before it even had a chance to begin.
Gotta check your corners. Always gotta be checking them corners. That's just rule
Valor?
one. If it ain't a Reinhardt, it's a Scaro. You never know. But I mean, this is not now. This is, you know, kind of deja vu all over again. If you're Grav-9, flashbacks to Gibraltar coming alive, getting stalled out on this kind of payload point of the map.
To look at the Blizzard there.
Ooh,
nice attempt at the
there.
shadow from Nodlin, but the sound barrier is there from Zura to keep the team sustained. Not going to help Nodlin, but the Amp Matrix might help to swing things. Look at Astro going down. It's all going to be on Kotori, and deployment of the Immortality Field might have already been expended here from the attacking Grav-9, but there is a little bit of space to utilize here, although no time remaining in the bank. The overtime wick is going to start burning away here pretty early in the streets phase of King's Row. Ricey armed with a Blizzard after a nice crit tap there, but Dragon Slayer is too far away from their own. It's going to be all eyes on Squanchy to eat that Blizzard. It goes unmitigated. Strikeout is able to get out of it, but they still end up getting frozen. Have to go for the hero play, find the pin. There's eliminations on both sides here. However, the Deadeye looking to end it all. Scaro drops from the high ground and is going to invariably get caught out by Grav-9 if they're able to stay in this fight. A freeze onto Winter might mean the difference between the end and the beginning of third point King's Row. They just got to stay in it. Cavadozer goes down despite the fact that they had the Amplification Matrix. It hadn't come up in time. It's going to be Grav-9 stabilizing here, but they haven't won yet.
Oh, now Nodlin's going to be coming back on that ball. Just looking to do a little bit of stall, possibly get out with their life, get a bit of reset. No, it looks like Nodlin. No, Nodlin will get out. This is good. You want to get out here and possibly get reset with your team after getting that stall. The ball switch, I mean, well, it's not a switch. Oh, I'm sorry, this is chaos, though. Nodlin's just doing a great job contesting exactly when he needs to. Now the freeze coming out from Dragon Slayer, though. Valenzo's going to take down Zura.
Yeah, that's
And I think that's still coming up Grav-9.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And look at the self-destruct as well. Cavadozer booped into it, and there's a remag kill from Winter. And getting a taste of their own medicine if they successfully find one of their own this evening. Scar goes for the Deadeye. It's going to connect to a defense matrix and a barrier, and that's going to be second point captured on King's Row by Grav-9. It's just a matter of time.
I was about to say, how is Nodlin still alive at this point? But they do, Grav-9 finally take him down. They do a great job, actually. You know, they use a lot of ults in what was the late mid of that fight, but the fight lasts so long that they're able to get a few more online. So now they do have a potential to possibly pile on some ults here to keep the progress rolling, to snowball it up, because now Frosters, they're back. They've got numbers. They do have the ability to control the high ground here on this comp. That is one upside that I imagine they have to be using really hard here.
All my Cole Cassidy mains love the fact that he can roll in midair now. Valenzo's able to juke the minefield there, but you know, some of the supports might have been cut off by that ultimate deployed. Dragon Slayer is definitely lagging a little bit behind in the formation of Grav-9, but nice strike of the hammer onto Zura's skull. It's going to take them out of the fight. Scarrow gives their life for the cause, I suppose, after finding their mirror matchup in Valenzo, and you know, things aren't stabilizing one way or the other. Oh, until Cappadocia and Nodlin both go down, and now this is Grav-9's opportunity to capitalize on that momentum. Maywall is going to separate Straight God from their targets, but it is all go, all push W, and now swinging the hammer to win this third point. Self-destruct, gotta navigate that first and get out of the blizzard as well. Astro won't be so lucky, but that's okay. They didn't have the sound barrier to justify them staying in this fight for longer than they needed. Valenzo applies the Deadeye to this team fight, but it once again doesn't connect. That's a massive shatter from Straight God, capitalizing on the lack of a shield in the composition that Frost Surge is utilizing. There's a defensive matrix from Squanchy to mitigate the Deadeye, but it's not able to save their mech. Now it's only Astro on the objective, and not for long, but that is 5 environmental eliminations for them now.
Well, props to Frost Surge. I did not think they were going to be able to hold it out there. I mean, Straight God on the Reinhardt was able to go completely unchecked. It took a combination of a Maywall, minefield, and just an overall constant source of pressure to finally get Straight God off the point there. But ultimately, I mean, you wouldn't think it works, but Frost Surge running that Ball Diva comp, you know, playing the win parameters well enough to at least get a hold here. They've set themselves up a win condition. They can go up, you know, 2-1 here in the series. But I mean, I think still a great job. You know, an attack that was pretty riddled with mistakes from Grav-9, if we're being honest, yet to still come out with as much progress as they did, you have to feel pretty happy with that. They definitely, you know, they're still in this. I'm glad to see kind of a little bit more traditional look coming out from Grav-9. I think they need to kind of get away from the shenanigans. The Zarya Doomfist worked well, but I think at this point, you know, you need a strong defense. You just need to come out and just do that bread and butter, basically, for lack of a better term. Get Kotori on the Baptiste finally. Let's let some other people play to their strengths. Let's let Straight God, you know. I was like, we all know the Reinhardt term, you know, let Reinhardt, you know, I won't say it, but that's what I'm saying. But I'm not saying it, but that's what I'm saying, you know. Let's play this standard brawl comp here on defense, and let's get a little work done. Winter though, over onto the Zarya. Don't really see why not playing the Doomfist, not really, but hey, I won't complain. I love Zarya.
I like Zarya, but we've got to see her be effective here. Winter utilizing that hero right now, buys Nodlin enough time to throw a Fire Strike, finds Astro out of the mix. There's a Immortality Field deployed from Kotori, but it's really, that's just a resource out of the bank now here for Grav-9 as they look to contest the objective. Squanchy critically low and is going to get demeched after getting frozen and beamed down by Winter, maintaining relatively high energy. And, you know, I guess that justifies the Zarya pick for you.
My gold brain is validated. Zarya can't be blocked by Diva, therefore Zarya better pick.
Zarya good.
I mean, it's just basic math. I mean, Zarya is better. It works out, and you'll love to see it. But some great team play coming out from Grav-9, kind of riding the ship. A bit of hubris coming out from Grav-9. They will go ahead and take this point, but now Grav-9 got a little bit of a foothold, if you will, to go ahead and set up here on this bridge to possibly make this street space a little bit more troublesome for Frost Surge here.
We'll have to see. It's that choke again. It's that archway. It's a powerful position to play in, to control this space. It's to control the tempo of the game. But you know what else helps with that is ultimates, and Cappadocia is coming up on their amplification matrix. There's its deployment. A nice Fire Strike as well. Poor Kotori unable to play the game, unable to lamp or prevent any additional damage. Nice flashbang and a good connection there from the Peacekeeper from Scarrow. Unable to find the final blow, but Valenzo's too weak. They're not going to test their luck here. Oh no, they will.
They tried it. Respect, but
yeah.
Frost Surge, a well-oiled machine right now. Everything working in perfect cohesion. On the bright side, if you're Grav-9, you do have Dragon Slayer coming up with ult. You've got Straight God, a nice shatter. You know, those have been looking pretty spicy so far here on King's Row. Valenzo can get up that Deadeye. There's some nice combos here at play, and you're going to need them because you don't really have much on Sora. It is a big indeed.
That's massive. You know, I would be screaming at the top of my lungs, but you know, what else have we come to expect from Straight God? That's a good Blizzard. Oh, and some nice final blows found off of it as well. I thought the Immortality Field might buy enough time for a Grav-9 to stabilize, but that is not the case. Look at Ricey picking up the eliminations. Things do not look dicey for them, and they are pretty spicy. Things got icy, but it's just about over here for Frost Surge's push, at least from that fight. Still, Winter and Noblin maybe pushing their luck just a little bit, going aggressive. Perhaps now is the right time. Look at the tank health pool here for Grav-9. Squanchy has to throw the self-destruct in an effort to swing. Does claim the Immortality Field from Cavodozer. Nice deployment, but they're also going to get some fat healing off of that to contribute towards another Amplification Matrix. In terms of support ultimates, there's plenty in the bank here. Look at the health pool dramatically increased from Frost Surge from the Sound Barrier. Might not have been necessary, but it's a good insurance.
It is, and at this point, that's pretty fine. You got a little under 5 minutes left. You don't even have to get a full tick of progress here. But the support ult's online for Grav-9. The nice early amplification matrix is what you need. Walls coming out, both corresponding amplification matrix. Perfect symmetry so far.
Yeah, and you got Straight God opting to play in the mirror dimension. Someone called Dr. Strange here as the Deadeye is procced from Scarrow. Does connect to some pretty significant damage, but that's going to be quickly outdone by the Sound Barrier. Watch out for Lenzo striking back, and there's another Immortality Field deployment now from the attacking team, who are going to be forced back. Oh, those connections! If I could aim like that, I wouldn't be casting Overwatch, let me tell you. Valenzo helping to equalize this fight and push back Frost Surge. It's only going to be temporary, though.
Absolutely huge there. And I mean, Grav-9, that couldn't have come at a better time. This is a great corner to be able to hold. You don't want to be fighting on that final straight. That's just, it's a ticking time bomb. It's only a matter of time before that progress is going to come. Here, you've got a couple more fights now here in this final stint, and they're going to need them. But now, Straight God, huge shatter coming out with the freeze to boot. This is looking good for Grav-9.
Yeah, and that was off of a flashbang from Valenzo. A little bit of a dirty trick, but hey, if it works, if it nets results, then Straight God will capitalize on that. And again, you know, that's kind of what we've come to expect from the main tank player for Grav-9. It's a stabilization for their defense.
Sorry, I was in the zone of art form of Valenzo, and it almost cursed him, I think. I think Valenzo going down there because I was so enthralled with the positioning. But now, this is the break Frost Surge needed. They've taken down the big source of range damage, and now they're just going to work in here on Straight God and go to work, I think.
Scar's looking for an off angle, not for a Deadeye, but for lethal doses of damage. They're able to successfully nab a couple of right-click kills. I love watching my Fan the Hammer kill stat as Cole Cassidy just ramp up the longer a match goes on. It's quite the meme. Grav-9, you guys have to touch. You guys have to connect to the objective.
Must touch.
Quanchi's able to connect just in time, but they're 98% to that self-destruct, and they got demeched in the process. Scarrow was free to go for the Deadeye, and it is going to be mirrored from Valenzo. Both cast ultimates finding value, and that's Astro now with 6 environmental eliminations. That's crazy.
That's Ligier Gong levels. But now Grav-9 able to, and on the back of Astro, and just an overall great team play. I was about it did not look good. I mean, how late they were able to get onto point, it didn't look like they were coordinated in what was going to be that final stall attempt, and yet they pulled out of the bag. And more importantly, now you're looking at about 4 ultimates to be coming online. Dragon Slayer, a very critical ult here. Straight God's been landing the shatters, but now Winter, the early bomb, you love it. It gets someone too.
Yeah, Astro, who did have the Sound Barrier. Winter during the self-destruct cast wasn't available with the defense matrix for the Blizzard cast by Dragon Slayer. For now, Frost Surge will be slowed down. Oh, Ricey striking back. There's a couple of brain freezes now that Grav-9 is enduring, but now Astro is reconnected with the Sound Barrier. Nice wall in response to the self-destruct from Squanchy. And Squanchy's in a mech, and now they're dispatched. Now's the time to Blizzard. Ricey's able to proc the cryo form, and the Sound Barrier drops to help mitigate the follow-up damage to the Blizzard, but things are looking all but over as Straight God and Astro both go down. Deadeye's procced, and if Kotori had been able to touch, they would have been quickly dispatched. That is map 3 going to Frost Surge.
I don't know if anyone here has watched A Christmas Story, but Ralphie's mother was right. Those icicles have been known to put someone's eye out. And Ricey demonstrating very well there at the end of that series. I mean, it's all fun and games until someone loses an eye to an icicle. And yeah, that's all the icicle memes and jokes I'm going to make for the night, Ethan.
I don't believe you.
That's wise of you.
That
I
was
need to chill. I need to chill out.
No, shut up, Lemon. I will leave. That was a yet another nice showcase, really, from both teams, but especially from Frost Surge, emerging on top of that matchup and taking us to match point territory. Now we're going to our assault game mode. This is the game mode that really we expect all of our players to thrive on, considering how loved assault is by the Overwatch community. There isn't a single
Beloved
person who isn't
even.
comfortable on Volskaya, Anubis,
Mm.
Hanamura, or Paris. Are we done
I hope
joking?
I hope my teammate. I'm sorry. I hope my Tempest teammates are watching, because we have such a long running joke about two CPs that just hearing this is, oh man. Yeah, two CP. We know it. We love it. None of us are happy that it's being removed for Overwatch 2. It's a big source of contention. I know in my own household. I mean, I've had long arguments even with my significant other about how we're not getting to play two CP in Overwatch 2. I don't know how much longer I can keep this charade up, though, Ethan. It is an
Oh
unavoidable
no.
consequence, and you know what? We should embrace it because you know what? Once it's gone, we might miss it. Years from now, when we've forgotten all the pain and the rose colored tracer goggles have come on, we could miss it. So let's enjoy it while we've got it. Overwatch 2, of course, on the horizon in late April. But I mean, back to this match. Enough of
Yeah.
our enough of our humor. Grav-9 though, I mean, good things. Good things on Kings Row. Obviously, it is their map choice, but Kings Row is everyone's map choice, so that
Yeah.
whole kind of advantage goes out the window. They looked good. Frost Surge looked better, and I have to attribute that, I think, to a bit of that unorthodox comp they played on defense, Ethan.
Yeah, that was an interesting romp on the chaos style composition.
Quirky,
I'll
if you
yeah,
will.
I'll never complain about
No.
watching the Baldiva comp on King's Row. It's Baldiva is already intricate enough, but when you add onto that intricacy the convention that King's Row represents to the Overwatch player base, you get some pretty interesting strategies and formations that develop out of that. I'll be honest, one big boon out of Kings Row was getting to see Kotori on that Baptiste. It ultimately didn't amount to Grav-9 winning that particular map, but I mean, we've heralded them for their BAP gameplay in the past, and it's possible that heading into our assault game mode, they stay compelled to remain on that hero. But as well, if we head to somewhere like Volskaya Industries, we might see Grav-9 back on the six-man composition, Kotori back on that Moira, and again, that's really the big composition. That's the only one, in my opinion, that she really belongs in. So we've said several times now, Lemon, that for Grav-9, all eyes are on the tanks and supports. Straight God got to mark their territory, if you will, on King's Row. But
Agreed.
heading into the assault game mode, it's my eyes are on the support gameplay, especially considering where we will be going.
Indeed, and we are heading to Temple Anubis. But you're right. We've spoke a lot about Kotori throughout this series, and I think that the important part that we need to highlight is Kabuto's are on the other side.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
you know, top notch in the role, especially in the Baptiste. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think Kabutozer was Legend Season 1. I might have to get production confirmation on that, but now with Season 2, Legend, you've got so back to back seasons. This is a staple, a watermark for the off support play, I think, in this league. And so seeing Kabutozer versus Kotori on the BAP last series on that Kings Row, I think we saw pretty strong identical play at times even, and I
yeah,
think that speaks highly to both players. Kabutozer is recognized and established a quantity within the Hyperion Cup franchise, and so Kotori going out there, newcomer to the scene this season, doing the exact same stuff. It's impressive. It's worth noting. And now going into Temple Anubis, I think we could see some more BAP. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a BAP Mercy shenanigans, possibly a little
mm,
Bastion in action here. If we're going to keep up that rhyme, a little Bastion in action, I think that works. It's a bit of a stretch. It's a bit of a stretch, but we're going to go for it. Yeah,
oh
we're
yeah.
gonna
Well,
we'll
I mean,
allow it. The court allows it.
it's the digital footprint coming in clutch there for you, right,
Mm.
Lemon?
Man, we are
Um,
having fun tonight, Ethan.
that's Oh man, I almost got really passionate there. Let me settle down. I'm caught up in the excitement of this
It's
series, and as well
fun.
seeing these.
It's fun.
That
This is a
it's
fun series.
I don't know, Lemon, if you've ever seen a little YouTube miniseries called Video Game High School. It's aged spectacularly well, might I mention. But one of the early themes in that first series was it's all about the game, right? You
Right.
play to compete, or you play to have fun, but at the end of the day, you're playing Overwatch, or you're playing, God forbid, League of Legends, or ooh, Dota. You're playing the game. That's what it's about. And what is gaming if it's not fun? And there's a lot to talk about in terms of competition and how that manifests, especially in this matchup. Frost Surge really giving it their all. And in giving up their all, we're seeing a lot of respect given
Hmm.
to Grav-9. You don't play like you do, or like Frost Surge does, if you don't respect your opponent. So again, there's things to talk about in terms of competition, but yeah, Lemon, we are having fun, and as well, I'm hoping that our
How could you
contenders are,
not be?
even with the pressure that is understandably allotted to them, and it's I it just Overwatch can be fun.
It
Can
can be. It can be. And we're having that will be our mantra as we head into 2CP Temple Anubis. Overwatch
Mhm.
can be fun. And I hope it can be because right now we got straight God on the Roadhog. So we
Oh,
will
now
see
that is
some
fun.
fun. That is fun. That is high quality fun. Uh but 2CP 2-1 match point. We've got Moni back in on the side of Grav-9. Going to be attacking. Right now, it looks like we've got a little bit of that pulled pork combo. Great lunchtime dish, if you ask me. Meanwhile, Grav... I'm sorry.
Are you
I'm
done?
sorry. No, never. Never will be. Never going to give it up. But no. Don't. Production's killing me right now. Oh, Oakley. Ah, yes. But now, Grav-9 coming out on attack. A little bit more standard. We're seeing this 6-man. I like it. It's going to be fast and brawly, and they're going to need it because they're going to have Nodlin and Winter on that Orisa Diva comp. I call it the zoo. I might have to explain that later. We played a lot on Tempest, but I really enjoy
Okay.
this comp. Scaro and Ricey playing that Cassidy Torb respectively. Scaro, huge pick early on to Moni, and this is exactly what you want if you're Frost Surge in this comp.
Yeah, Frost Surge cleans that up every single time, and wow, Nodlin is undaunted. It's like, hack me if you want. I've got a Fortify and and 150 charges in my Fusion Driver. What a cool name for a gun, by the way.
Absolutely, Fusion
Fusion
Driver.
Driver?
Yeah, it just sounds intimidating and menacing.
Yeah.
But in this lull, I call this tank line the zoo because the first team I ever saw it run with nice effectiveness was Atlanta Reign, and the two tank players that ran it were Gator and Hawk. So I call it the zoo.
Zoo. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yes, this is a great tank line to run here on Anubis defense. Great use of the high ground while still giving Winter the ability to go out and chase down flankers to peel, to initiate plays. With Diva being such a staple in comps, but still having that solid area to reset, it's cool. And you see how you're able to maneuver with this comp as well, rotating away from the fight.
Yeah, Nodlin is not hesitant to give up space, but that space, it leads to some nice poke damage. It's going to eliminate Straight Gun out of the fight. It was a pretty pretty devastating damage dished down onto onto Squanchy there. Really quick resolution of that fight for Frost Surge, and it's all just. We can talk about tempo, but tempo is also partially based off positioning, and that positioning for Frost Surge was glorious.
Absolutely, and this is how you play this setup. And I mean, you look, if you get too aggressive on the core, there's Zura able to kind of put you in check. And then amongst that, how are you going to get aggressive on the core? You've got all this range, you've got this turb turret to contend with. There's just so many variables that you have to look at when you're playing against this defense that Frost Surge is bringing up. And now I like to switch over to the brawl too. This is going to let you get a little bit more up close and personal, but you've still got to, answer that first question of getting up there.
Yeah, or rather jumping down from the high ground in the presence of the Molten Core that was utilized by Ricey. And, well, things are no longer icy from them. They're steaming hot. And another fight resolves here for Frost Surge. Kabadozer deployed the Ant Matrix pretty early in that fight, and I looked up and I'm like, that's 1 out of 6 ults. What on earth? Moni?
Oh, that's I think Moni thought they were slick, but ultimately now this is just going to be a big stagger coming out for Grav-9. Though at least now Moni's back with the team. You've got Dragon Slayer coming online with May ult. A lot of ults on the horizon for Grav-9, but they've got under a minute left. They've got to make something happen right now.
Carol,
at least outmaneuvering that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely, but
that's
playing the left side here, that's the insanity coming through, doing the same thing again and again. We'll see if things change here. That's a scary self-destruct there, Moni with the galls to stand in front of it. Supercharger deployed here. That's going to be so much damage against Straight God, and they're already low enough. They're equipped with Shadow. They want an opportunity to use it. Dragon Slayer ultimately taken down. The Fortify is not going to allow Noglin to be knocked down by the hammer slamming to the earth. And look at all of these eliminations, but it's not onto players, it's onto constructs. That's the Supercharger, the Immortality Field all gone, but in the meantime, it's Grav-9 trading those constructs for actual bodies. Just like that, Frost Surge has full held Anubis first point.
The freeze, a foregone conclusion. You had to yeet it. You had to yeet it up to try and get it to point. I mean, it's unavoidable. But I gotta say, just as a fellow connoisseur of that composition on defense, I have to say, chef's kiss. That was perfectly executed from Frost Surge. That this is a comp that I think is starting at the very end of Overwatch to get a little bit of attention here in the current meta, defensively. And if you want to know how to play it, that's how you play it. The maneuvering, how you rotate back, how you kite fights away, how you utilize Winter. I mean, I talk a lot about Winter, but mad props to Winter. That's how you play the diva in that setup. I think my teammate Panda does really well in that Zoo tank line as well. It's a nuanced style of diva play that I really love seeing. But yeah, it's now set up Frost Surge. You have to speak highly on it because it's set them up for a win condition. 1 tick and you're going to the finals. I mean, you're feeling pretty good if you're Frost Surge, but if you're Grav-9, you've been in this situation roughly before, or rather, the shoe's now on the other foot, I should say, because last week, Tempest, my team, we got a draw to continue a match on 2CP. And so now Grav-9's going to need to do the same thing. And it's doable. I like this 6-man comp. They're going to have to play smart. They're going to have to play out of sight and then pick their battles very accordingly. But it's definitely winnable against a very, tried and true brawl comp coming out from Frost Surge, which, I mean, I think you've got 1 tick. That's what you need to be running.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. These compositions, the 6-man, it's a far throw from the classic Diva Orisa defense style composition, and what better to attack into it than a full rush? Noglin finds the pin. That's the engine firing, and I mean, this is going to go the way of Frost Surge. They are not suffering for resources here on this objective. Moni's struggling to find an off angle. Kabadozer does end up getting eliminated. That's a lot of sustain that's just been cut down for Frost Surge. But Noglin is striking back, staying present on the objective, staying engaged in this fight. Even despite getting hacked a couple of times, you will get Straight God able to reconnect to the objective, but it's just one scientist on the objective.
Beautiful.
Lemon?
Ethan, that was great. That was great. We have to talk about Frost Surge winning, but you have to give that joke its due. It was beautiful, almost as beautiful as the commanding performance that Frost Surge just put on there on Anubis. I mean, that's how you do it. That's how you play the brawl. That's how you play the Zoo comp from defense. I mean, all of it. Just that is, well, if you want to know what you got to beat to win this tournament now, there it is. That's what you got to beat. Because now Frost Surge, undefeated in the season, undefeated in playoffs, undefeated path to playoffs. It's compelling, it's dominating, and it makes for a pretty good storyline heading into finals now, if I'm being honest, Ethan.
We can all get behind the narrative of the undefeated champions, and at least for a little bit longer, that's the position that Frost Surge is able to help craft this
You're gonna have to beat them in
storyline.
finals now.
I mean,
That's how
that's
it
it.
is. Mhm.
That's the win condition, but man, oh man, is that one going to be pretty difficult to
Mm,
attain. Grav-9, I mean, they gave it their all as well. Had to mirror Frost Surge, and they had a really good late regular season as well. Unfortunately,
they did.
they are going to be out of the playoffs, out of the Hyperion Cup, and you know Lemon, they found their identity. They're on that brawl rush style composition. There are principles of it emulated in the six-man comp, and strength in that identity is good from a team. But it's
True.
Frost Surge's flexibility that
Yes.
I think really helped them stay in control of this match.
That's absolutely right. I mean, that's the highlight that you have to take away from this match is, here as we even as we wind down in the season, even as we get, here at the end, Frost Surge, the flexibility just continues. They look strong on whatever they're playing. I mean, it's looking good for Frost. If you're a Frost Surge fan right now, it's looking good for the Frost fam because this, I mean, you look exactly the same. This is the same score line that we had previously when these two teams face each other. So I mean,
Yeah.
you're maintaining the same level of dominance that you've had throughout the season, which when you're undefeated, you can't get any better. So all you can do is maintain, and that's what Frost Surge is doing. So, by all accounts, this season is going absolutely according to plan. If you're rooking the gang, and yeah, it's now just a question of who are they playing, and I for one, I'm excited to see how everything shakes out. I'm excited to see a final resolution to this what's been an excellent season that I've had a pleasure, being a part of in the casting booth with you as well, Ethan. A little bit
Yeah.
mushy there at the end, but it struck me. I was like, we're getting near the end, man. Like we're seeing the end of it, and it's been fun.
Yeah, it has been fun for us in the booth as well as to all of our players and all of our viewers. A massive GGs and GS. That is great. Season 2 Grav-9. Big thanks to them for participating in the Hyperion Cup, and hopefully we'll see them in the future. But I'll tell you what we'll see here in just a few moments, or rather, here is going to be the post game interview from a representative from Frost Surge. So we'll be right back with that after a short break.
All right, and welcome back. We've been having a good old time in the break. We've got Winner here from Frost Surge, off tank player, here to join us in the post game. How you doing tonight, Winner?
I'm feeling good, Lemon. Thanks for having
I,
me.
I bet you're feeling good. I mean, that's a pretty compelling 3-1 victory. Okay, so I just got to ask, getting this kicked off the right way. I got to ask, that last map, Temple of Anubis, why no Sig?
Uh, we were totally prepared for some other kind of brawl option, basically, and Sig just gets run on too easily.
Oh, I hear you're a big fan of the Sig play, and I was like, you
I
got
am.
the Orisa,
I'm a
like, why
huge
no
advocate
Sig?
for the Sig.
Why no
Uh,
Sig? We got to have Sig. Plus, you were giving me hell. I didn't play Sig, and you were like, hey. So I just had to ask, why didn't you play Sig, man? Like it was killing me. I was like, we needed to see it.
uh, gotta
Oh
pull it out at
yes.
some point, but not always the job for it.
Well, fine. I mean, you got one more match to do it. You got finals coming up. We gonna see Sig there in finals? You think?
Hopefully, you never
Hopefully,
know.
indeed. At the very least, not having the SIG give us a look at that Orisa Diva defense composition, which is just one of my absolute all-time favorites. Kind of difficult to navigate, but extremely powerful in the right hands, and definitely Frost Surge's hands are the ones to wield that proverbial sword there. But we saw you guys on a myriad of strategies tonight, so my question is a little bit twofold. The remaining teams in the Hyperion Cup include Paradise, Aegis, and Phoenix. They'll be going up against each other, I believe, on Monday of this upcoming week. And Winter, which of these two teams would you like to see in the finals? And as well, without giving away too much, how would your strategies change based on which team you're playing against?
Uh, big shout outs to Phoenix, but I am 100% looking forward to the Aegis rematch. Um,
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
lots of talent and personalities on that team that I just love them. Uh, always a blast. Big shout out to Minibur. We kind of had the handshake as both off tanks.
Yeah,
Um,
that camaraderie between opponents is always fun. But go ahead, Winter.
um, well, Paradise Aegis got a lot of tricks up their sleeve. So really, the best thing we can do is roll out being prepared for anything and just be ready to adapt on the fly. So that's where we're gonna have to work on the most.
Okay, yeah. So that's going to lead me into my next question. Again, going back to all the different strategies that we got to see tonight, which one would you say Frost Surge really, or which aspect of Overwatch would you say Frost Surge really prioritizes? From Grav-9, we got to see a commitment to strategy, right? They liked running that six-man brawl composition. They like the brawl compositions. That's their identity. But from Frost Surge, we got to see a lot of different looks tonight. Is it that commitment to those familiar strategies that you guys have rehearsed and recited, or is it that adaptability that you just mentioned that you feel is most important?
So it is definitely a mix of both because we do like to change it up and uh, kind of work ourselves into having a wide circle of options so that we don't get backed into a corner when there's something that gives us trouble. But it's definitely worth realizing that if you're playing something and it's not working out, it's definitely because you could be playing it better and not because you're on the wrong comp. So it's definitely worth realizing like where there are things you can fix up or where you would just have more success on a different comp. So we try and do a mix of both.
A little bit of the nature versus nurture to be found in your answer there. No surprise to see a pretty balanced perspective from you, Winter, from a team that is really unbalanced. Back to you, Lemon.
It's so funny. Every off tank I've ever talked to is so balanced and even kill, and then I'm just over here like wild, and I'm like, maybe am I really an off
Yeah.
tank? I don't seem to have the character traits. But with that in mind, Frost Surge going to finals. We've talked a lot about Paradise Aegis. That you're this running. We'll call it a hypothetical that you guys see each other in finals. It's been said that y'all are probably the two most heavily coached teams as far as the amount of coach presence that each of y'all have integrated into your systems as far as your scrim time, your VOD reviews, all of
Mhm.
that stuff. With that in mind, does knowing you're going up against a very equally coached team, does that change anything in your preparation? What does that mean to you, basically?
Think I'm gonna give away all my secrets, Lemon.
Oh, that's the plan. That's the plan.
I see.
You've read right through me, actually.
It's definitely something to keep in mind because we can't count on you just making some of the same mistakes or being able to punish as some of the other teams because every team's going to have different weaknesses. So again, it's really going to be pushing our advantages more than punishing their weaknesses.
I love it. That's perfect. That's exactly what you have to do. And surprisingly, you didn't really you didn't give away too much, which we were so close. But we'll go ahead. That'll be about it for us. You got any shout outs for us, Winter? Anybody you want to say what's up to out there?
Shout out to the rest of Surge. Great work today. Grav-9 for a great match. Both the other teams, best of luck. Everyone watching, I know I have some family and some friends watching, so thanks for supporting us.
Yeah, that's at the end of the day, that's all there is to it. Just a hearty thank you to not only our viewers and the people who support all of our players in their endeavors, but also to the players and the teams that they comprise themselves. Thank you so much, Winter, for the positive sentiments that you conveyed in this interview. Go get some rest; you've earned it, and I look forward to watching the showdown between whoever makes it to the finals.
Thank you, guys.
That was Winter of Team Frost Surge, and Lemon, we've had a lot of fun in the booth tonight, but unfortunately, I think that is all the fun there is to be had on stream this evening. But that's not all the fun that there is to be had in Hyperion. Heading forward, we will have the Legends Week events. That'll be Jackbox games on the 29th, and if I look at my calendar, that is going to be a Tuesday. After that, on Thursday, it'll be a Widow 1v1. The 2nd of April, which is a Saturday, is going to be Pug events. And the Legends show match is the weekend of the 1st of April. There's no fooling anyone there. It's going to be a fun time. I cannot wait to see all of our Hyperion legends there.
We kept it fun right till the very end, Ethan. I love it, man. This has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for just having me here in this cast. You know what? This has been I don't think I'll get to see another. I don't think it'll be me and you again this season, but it's been a lot of fun, man. It's been a pleasure. Every single one of them with you has been just tons of fun. That's all I can say. And this last one was true to form, man. So I love it. Great times. Great season. Well done.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Hopefully see you guys again.
if yeah, it's a winter speaks
Winner!
for me and Lemon Pepper both, and hopefully for the chat as well. And to everyone watching, big shout out to you guys. Thank you guys so much for sticking around for this exciting matchup. Drop a follow on the Twitch channel so you guys can get notified of when we go live with any of the other exciting matchups that we've got wrapping up the Hyperion Cup. It's more Overwatch action, albeit not too much left, but the excitement of the entire regular season can also be found in these playoff games. Also follow Hyperion over on Twitter as well. That's at Hyperion Co. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Lord Ethan, joined in the booth by Lemon Pepper, and you guys have a spectacular rest of the evening.